I may be stupid, so I recorded two videos. One being the bullpen video, which you're watching right now, and one being the lineup video, which was recorded but is now in the garbage. Why? Why would I do such a thing, you may ask? For one, the lineup video, my recorder cut off because it died like halfway through it, so no audio for the second half. B, my head was cut off for both of these videos because myself and my wonderful foresight did not think to check the footage and the staging before I hit final. Silly, goofy Eric. I wasted 80 minutes of nothing. But we're going to reset today and talk about the bullpen finally. So, as I said in the rotation video, there's going to be a couple of reoccurring characters such as Huascar Inoa and Ronaldo Lopez. And I'm not really going to dive in as much as I did with projections and stuff as I did in the rotation video because I realized that kind of just sounds like numbers. And you hear numbers so much sometimes that it just doesn't, it's one in one ear out the other. I get that. So we're going to be a little bit less numbers based today and just talk about how they were in 2023 and what I expect out of them in 2024. Without wasting too much more time, let's get on right in. Let's start out with the last man out of the bullpen, but the first man up in the bullpen video, Raisel Iglesias. Raisel's due for another good year in 2024. In 2023, he got off to a kind of weird start. He had that injury that kind of kept him on the injured list and not on the off the injured list. He was like quasi-injured, I would say. He had a 2.75 ERA, 33 saves in 55 and 2/3 innings pitched to go along with 68 strikeouts, accumulating to a 1.2 WAR. I think some of the stuff that Raisel struggled with early on was location, and I would tie that a little bit back to the injury. He just walked a lot of guys, which is kind of uncharacteristic for him. So I expect him to really work on that and bounce back in 2024. And not necessarily bounce back because he didn't have a bad year. But, you can always do better, especially with a guy that we're paying actual closer money to. He's the highest paid reliever in the bullpen, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, he's paid more than Joe and Pierce. So Raisel expecting big things from him in 2024. Let's go with the next man up, and that's AJ Minter. Probably, I would say, the best pitcher out of the Braves bullpen. AJ's entering his final season under team control, which means he will be a free agent after the 2024 year, along with fellow left-hander Max Fried. AJ last year had a really bad first couple months, but I would really chalk it up to luck and maybe just having a little bit of, funk. We'll call it funk. But AJ Minter, as always, is one of the best lefty relievers in all of baseball. Did it again last year. Minter had a 3.76 ERA in 64 and 2/3 innings pitched, 10 saves for him in 70 appearances, with 82 strikeouts, and that accumulates to a .9 WAR. So in April and March, he had a 8.53 ERA, 15 hits to his name, and he just did give up the one home run, which going back, it feels like he gave up so much more. He was still able to pick up 15 strikeouts, which he was just super effective with the strikeout pitch, as he always is. So AJ was back to AJ after that fluky, funky first couple months. Either way, AJ Minter is a premium left-hander reliever, and I expect him to do the exact same this year. All right, let's talk about Timothy Joe Jimenez. Joe had a weird year. He had a lot of expectations coming into 2023, mostly because we traded for him for Jackson Henry Malloy, who at the time was a pretty notable prospect in the Braves system. So Joe came over in the offseason, and he had time to get acclimated, but also something that happened is that he had off-season back surgery, and I don't think a lot of people know that. So Joe having to, work through a back recovery plan while also gearing up to pitch for a new team with a new pitching program, I'm sure was a little strange. Joe last year had a 3.04 ERA in 59 games and 56 and a third innings pitched, 73 strikeouts for him, also a .9 WAR, just like AJ Minter. In June and July, he came in hurling bullets, a 1.08 ERA and a .82 ERA in June and July, respectively. I think Joe's going to have a much better year this season, and the Braves obviously think so too, and the seasons to come because they locked him up on an extension. I think Jimenez was kind of the Luke Jackson replacement. He has a big slider and a good high-rising fastball, so if that fits well for the 6th or the 7th inning guy, which we'll talk about roles later on, but his bullpen, as you probably already know, is well loaded. But I do expect Jimenez to have a much better campaign in 2024 as he is going to be a full year removed from that back surgery. All right, let's talk about the other new addition to the bullpen last year. Probably a little bit more infamous, I would say, not as it turned out, but as people saw it come through. And that's Pierce Johnson. I personally love Pierce Johnson. I love the way he pitches. Nasty, filthy, disgusting curveball and a high, fast heater. Love to see that. So Johnson across his career has been with Chicago, San Francisco, San Diego, and Colorado. And then, of course, the streak ended in the A last year. These were his numbers between both Colorado and Atlanta last year. Had a .4 WAR and a .402 ERA in 62 and 2/3 innings pitched, but 90 strikeouts. That's the most strikeouts as we've seen on the list so far. So obviously he has big K potential, and that's what the Braves saw when they traded for him. And, well, the devil magic for Atlanta worked again. After getting traded to Atlanta, he had a .76 ERA down the stretch in 23 and 2/3 innings pitched. All that was after Pierce came over and everyone was like, what are we doing? Because he had a 6 ERA. Look at the StatCast page. It speaks for itself. Pierce Johnson is also another arm that's going to stick around for a while, as he also signed an offseason extension to stay with Atlanta along with Joe Jimenez. So I'm excited to watch this duo out of the pen, and I keep trying to get ahead of myself, but I'm really excited to talk about the roles and how I think they're going to shake out, but we still have more pitchers to talk about. The Braves were absolutely clowned on for trading for Aaron Bummer this offseason. I have a professor who's a Chicago White Sox fan, and he straight up said, I think the Braves are stupid for giving up that haul. Aaron Bummer had negative value last year. He's worth -1 WAR, a full win less. The Braves gave out so many players for him. Nicky Lopez, Braden Shoemake, Jared Schuster, Michael Soroka. A lot of players went over in that deal, and the Braves only got one player back? Well, as always, the answer gets more clear if you look into the advanced data. I'm going to read his numbers in a second, but first I'm going to show you the StatCast page. Wow. Someone who excels at both strikeouts and ground balls usually means they're a pretty good reliever. In 2023, though, he had a terrible year. As I said before, a -1 WAR, a 6.79 ERA in 61 games, 58 and 1/3 innings pitched. But hang on now. In 2022, also with the White Sox, Aaron Bummer, in 26 and 2/3 innings pitched, had a 2.36 ERA. And this isn't your typical ground ball pitcher like someone maybe of Colin McHugh, whose main job is to maybe induce weak contact. And he's a lefty, which the Braves seem they're stocking up for, especially after the left-handed powerhouse that has now come to the National League with Shohei Ohtani, Freddie Freeman, Bryce Harper, Kyle Schwarber. Those are just some of the powerhouses that we have to look out for in the National League. Someone talked their horn outside. But I think Bummer in a different environment, we all know what coming to Atlanta makes a player feel like. It feels good to be surrounded by a quality talent as well, and a clubhouse feel where the team actually cares about the players. And with the White Sox, unfortunately, that doesn't happen. But enough with the bad news. Let's get to the good news that Tyler Matzek is back. As I'm recording this, Tyler Matzek had his first appearance in spring training yesterday and his first appearance since 2022. His first time throwing to live batters in a competitive setting. So, good for Tyler. So, in Tyler's last, I would say, full injury-ridden season was 2021, because he did pitch a good bit in 2022, but he was obviously not right. In 2021, he had a 2.57 ERA in 63 innings pitched with 77 strikeouts. And just so we're sure, let me make sure you make your daily pilgrimage to watch the Tyler Matzek inning.
2, and a swing and a miss. That was a big strikeout from Matzek. 1 and 2. A cold strike 3. Matzek burns off the edge. Here's an 0-2. Man, oh man, that was some serious pitching by
I'm really excited for Tyler's comeback season in 2024, and he doesn't necessarily have to be the big arm to go out there and shove. The Braves have a bunch of lefties stashed in the pen, and we haven't even talked about one that I'm pretty excited for. We'll mention him later on. It's actually two down the line that could be real good pieces for the Braves. And this is where I'm going to first bring up, excuse me, Gwinnett. I wouldn't be surprised at all if Tyler either starts the year on the injured list or starts the year in AAA. Just give him as much time as the guy needs. He does not need to be rushed back. The Braves have plenty of depth to, make up for the absence of Tyler Matzik, as he looks to rehab from a Tommy John surgery, as well as being inactive for a year. And let's be honest, Matzik's maybe not the youngest guy out there, so he might take a little bit longer than usual, and that's absolutely okay. We can live with that. Okay, I declined to talk a lot about Ronaldo Lopez in the rotation video because I know that the Braves are trying him out as a reliever. I understand that. Or they're trying him out as a starter. Whoopsie daisy. I just don't know if that's going to work out for the entire season. Very well might. I'm not doubting Ronaldo Lopez at all or his talent. I'm just saying that, it'd probably be smarter for the Braves to put him in the bullpen. I think they'll try him for all of spring training, though, and if it gets to, the last week, they'll probably say, okay, you're going to the bullpen. But, if he doesn't, team's always better off with another guy who can go 6 strong innings, so all power to him. I don't really care. Ronaldo Lopez in 2023 as a reliever had a 2.1 WAR. 6 saves in 68 games, 66 innings pitched for him, with 83 strikeouts, going with a 3.27 ERA. Lopez got traded from 3 separate teams over the course of 2023. He started off in Chicago, then went to Los Angeles in the Giolito deal, then went over to Cleveland, not in a deal, but on a waiver. So, Mr. Worldwide.
Mr. Worldwide!
Ronaldo signed a pretty big contract for just a reliever to be in Atlanta. I love having him here. He throws absolute gas out of the pen. That's something the Braves have not really had over the course of the entire window, really. I would love to stash him just in the bullpen, not as the closer, not as the 8th, the 7th, or the 6th inning guy. I want him to be the fireman. Come out at any point in the game and just shut down whatever rally the opposing team has, and that's a big responsibility. Braves have maybe 2 or 3 guys who are able to do that. I would say it's Lopez, Minter, and maybe Rysel, but Snicker's really going to put him in the 9th. So, yeah, I would say it's Lopez, Minter, and Bummer. And those are 3 great options to get out of really any trouble at any point in the game, because we can really pull up any reliever, put him in any inning. I'm saying any a lot because, the Braves are elastic in the bullpen. Anyway, Ronaldo, I think, is going to have a great year, either as a reliever or a starter, because if he's in the rotation, and the Braves have reason to believe that he is good, and he's putting up numbers to show that he is good there. And as a reliever, I have no issues with him. I know what he's going to bring, and I'm confident in what he's going to bring to the table is going to be good. Okay, let's start talking about a couple of the question marks that the bullpen has. Starting off with lefty and World Series starter, bet you forgot that, Dylan Lee. Lee was injured in 2023. He had shoulder issues out the wazoo. But in stop moving. Justin moves a lot. But in 2022, he was really good. He had a 2.13 ERA and 50 2/3 innings pitched and 59 strikeouts. Now, I will say Dylan Lee has a tendency to be bit by the home run bug a little bit, but you can have worse lefty relievers, and that helps too. He's a lefty. He was brought on in big spots to face other lefties. Snicker trusts him. I trust him. And I think he's going to have a good year in 24. As of now, I don't think he's made his spring training debut yet. He had to go through some shoulder stuff in the offseason to make sure that he was right, but by all accounts, he is healthy and ready to go. Love Dylan. Can't wait to see what he does in 24. Okay, next guy we're going to talk about is somebody that I don't think a lot of people really talk about in general, and that's Ray Kerr. If you don't know, Ray Kerr came over from San Diego in the Matt Carpenter trade. Ray Kerr is a left-handed specialist who struggles with control, and that's exactly what the Braves are looking for. He throws gas, and you can stash him on Gwinnett until he's ready. That's literally the scouting board on Ray Kerr. Okay, let's talk about the guy that I feel like I've talked about maybe 6-7 times in my short run of videos on this channel, and that is Huascar Ynoa. I touched on his rise and subsequent fall in a previous video. If you want to go check that out, I think I've shouted out that video 3 times now. And if Huascar exited as a starter, why am I putting him in the bullpen? Well, similar to old friend Tuki Toussaint, I think Huascar could perform extremely well in the bullpen. He has high heat and a wipeout slider. In the last full year Huascar pitched in 2021, he had 91 innings pitched. Remember, this is a starter. A 4.05 ERA to go along with a hundo strikeouts. He's got big K potential, and I think he's going to be battling out the 5th rotation spot with Ronaldo Lopez and Bryce Elder over the course of the spring. But I think he's another one of those arms that's going to be in Gwinnett on opening day. I don't think he's making the opening day roster for Atlanta. Okay, last player we'll talk about, and that's Daysbel Hernandez. Daysbel made his major league debut in 2023 in Milwaukee. I remember that because I watched that game. And he was up for maybe a week or two, then had to go on the injured list for arm fatigue. But a lot of the beat reporters and a lot of reporting around the team thinks that he's going to have a big year for the Braves, at least an important one. I think Daysbel also is going to get stashed in Gwinnett, but with what everyone thinks, and I tend to believe whatever comes out around the team, especially from Bowman, they're looking at Daysbel as a possible really big piece in the bullpen, which I like that. He's also another righty who's got some heat, although he doesn't hit the high 90s as much as the other guys do, and I'm not as well educated on his breaking stuff. But that's going to do it for the bullpen pieces, at least breaking them down individually. Now, what roles do I think they're going to have? I think your opening day roster is going to look like... Hey guys, Editor Eric here, and while I was editing this video, Mark Bowen released what he thought the Braves were going to roll into the year with reliever-wise. So here's what they're looking at right now. Rysell, AJ, Joe, Pierce, Dylan, Aaron Bummer, Daysbel, and Jackson Stevens. He said that because Tyler Matzik was only hitting 88, 89 in his spring appearances so far, he's not very confident that he's making the opening day roster. So if you notice, that reliever bunch does not include Ronaldo Lopez, and that's because Mark Bowman predicts that he is going to win the starting pitcher battle against Bryce Elder for the 5th spot. I said in my rotation video that sometimes the worst thing you can have as a baseball player is options in spring training, and Bryce Elder has those options, so he might get sent back down to Gwinnett to work on some things. But again, it'll be Iglesias, Minter, Jimenez, Johnson, Bummer, Lee, Hernandez, and Stevens. That's going to do it for this video. Hope you enjoyed. Spring training's here, and the Braves are going to start televising all their remaining home spring training games. I can't talk. That's going to start on Thursday, which I believe is going to be the 1st. No, there's an extra day in February this year. But anyway, again, that's going to do it for this video right here. If you enjoyed, share with a Braves fan. Trying to get a big following so we can get ready for opening day. Gonna have some real important content, real fun content, I think, geared up for when we start the season off. If you want to follow me on socials, I'm on Instagram, Twitter /X, and TikTok. So again, thank you guys so much for watching. Share with a Braves fan, hit like, hit subscribe, and as always, have a good one.